Pastor Terry here once again to give you a word of encouragement. In 2 Timothy 4:7 we read, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race, and I have remained faithful. Philippians 1:6 says, and I am certain that God who began the good work within you will continue his work until it's finally finished on the day when Christ Jesus returns. I've got an important word for many of you here today. I have come to encourage you that whatever God has placed in your heart, you can complete it. God has placed desires in your heart, and in Psalms it says, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. He put them there. He wants you to complete them. You can do it. And I'm here to remind you that today. Different obstacles may deter you, and you've got off the route, but today you can get back on and start to finish what God has placed in your heart. I'm reminded of Abraham, who took 25 years from the day God said you're going to become the father of all nations until he saw his son born. He made many wrong decisions along the way. It seemed like many times he didn't trust. Can you imagine? God himself had a conversation with Abraham, and yet he doubted at times. He didn't trust God. He lied about his wife being his sister twice. He had to rescue Lot from being imprisoned by some other peoples. He had to go through the season of Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham and Sarah both became impatient and tried to help God. And today we're even still suffering the consequences of that choice because they try to get in and help God. We're to be led by the Spirit, and our steps are ordered by God, not get ahead of him, not stay behind him. But I'm here to encourage you today to continue to follow your dreams. There was the promise, and I'm sure there was excitement. And then as time went on, frustration set in. There was doubting, testing, refinement, and finally fulfillment. I'm reminded of Paul. In Acts 23:11, the Lord appeared to him the third time in the book of Acts. And he said, Paul, you've testified in Jerusalem, but there's coming a day you'll testify in Rome. And that seems to be the last time the Lord spoke to him. And little did Paul know that the Lord didn't tell him that the very next morning, 40 plus men swore to vow that they would neither eat nor drink until Paul was dead. I wonder how many stuck to their vow, because we know Paul didn't die from them conspiring against him. The Lord didn't tell him that he would have false accusations against him in Felix's courtroom. The Lord didn't tell him that he'd be incarcerated for 2 years in Caesarea. The Lord didn't tell him he would be shipwrecked and all thought they would die. But through it all, I'm sure Paul kept that promise in his heart. God said that you're going to one day testify in Rome for me. So I ask you today, what's God told you? What's in your heart? What has God reminded you time and time again to complete? Well, if I may be open and vulnerable, for me, it was finishing college. I went to college in 1974, and I got distracted by opportunity. Ministry opportunities, and then management opportunities. But in my heart, I kept saying, yes, Lord, one day I'm going to finish school. My wife and I went to Rhema in our 40s, but even after we graduated from there, God said, you still haven't completed what I asked you to do. So in 2016, time I decided is running out, and I better fulfill what God wanted me to do. So I started taking one course every single 8 weeks for 3 years until I graduated in July of 2019. Why? I'm not totally sure, but I do know it was out of obedience what God laid in my heart in 1974. 1 Samuel 15:22 says obedience is better than sacrifice. So I encourage you today, whatever God has placed in your heart, let him fulfill it. Walk out God's plan. You're going to bless lots of people. God bless you.